Hey guys, Tom Fury. Not often to make videos like this, so yeah, and I do want to get back to making some a little bit better produced videos again. Like I say, it's supposed to be a day off, but obviously that leads me to get into things and get into different thoughts. Anyway, I got into a bit of a morbid thought thinking about the British ex-service guys who had gone over and fought and died in Ukraine. And I was thinking about, hey, how fast politics and knowledge moves these days on the internet. So, for instance, do you remember during COVID, what you couldn't say on YouTube 6 months later was actually proven to be true? Things would move that quick in terms of knowledge, information, and I mean, in terms of Ukraine and that, it's not over yet. And I'm not picking Russia over Ukraine, Ukraine over Russia, but it doesn't make Ukraine a perfect country. I wonder what got the thought that got me, especially as like I say, these guys already served their time. Our government, many of you have agreed that just as guilty of the same propaganda as Russia or any other country. And that's what bothers me is how many of those ex-British servicemen went there on a lie, or how many of them, if they could come back today, would still believe in what they went there for then? I guess I'm asking. And like I say, with a normal war, I wouldn't necessarily ask that, but considering the conditions, considering the truths that were hidden, considering how much comes out, it does make me wonder. The families of the people that were lost. I wonder if they still feel as strongly about it, or if with some of the information, I'm not saying everybody would suddenly hate the idea of what they did. I'm just asking the question: how many of them wouldn't have gone if they had known the full story, regardless of bad guy, good guy? How many of them, family wise, yeah, may have felt differently. I'm not saying I'm right to say that it would be loads, but I just feel like, generally speaking, if you look, let me just take myself out of it for a minute. Even if when I've looked at other people, the feeling towards Ukraine is definitely, there was two sides at the beginning, but generally it was pro Ukraine, and definitely over time it's turned against Ukraine more and more. Not completely against it, and it's always going to have people defending it because nobody wants to see it extinct. But nevertheless, there's been a lot more heat on Ukraine, and that doesn't necessarily mean that much. But the reasons for the heat is the problem and the question. And so, yeah, I couldn't help but sit and think, would those people still go and fight? And I suppose the reason that is an important question is because if the answer is no, then yeah, that's quite heartbreaking. But we'll never know. We'll never know the answer. But yeah, I don't know. I've never been a serviceman, so I can't even guess. I can't even guess at what might or might not have gone for anybody's head. But I know that all those people went for the right reasons, um, in their mind, and it doesn't take away anything from how them being brave or anything else. What I do worry about is, did they know why they were going? And if they did, fair enough. But did they know why they were going? Did they know what kind of war this would be? Um, did they know why it was happening? A lot of things were being hidden back then, but if you got a thought, let me know what you think. I'm definitely not an authority on this, and quite happy to be told I'm not so much being wrong, because I'm not saying I'm right about anything. I'm just concerned. nothing I can do about it, but it is just a morbid thought that crossed my mind. And yeah, I wonder what you think. I wonder what you think about it. Because it is kind of sobering, you know? So there is a video I'm working on for you that requires some animation, but I need to check tomorrow morning to see if I've got the ability back at the moment to reanimate the stuff that I need to. If not, I might have to wait a few extra days. So depending on this result tomorrow would depend on the type of content I do for the next few days. I don't know how many of you who watch on YouTube have X accounts, but if you don't, it's the Wild West on there, I tell you. But Starmer and the Labour Party, they have some front, and Starmer does whatever. I mean, I know other people will do most of his posts for him, but there are some he does himself, and he doesn't make out like he is, but he's definitely answering people back. But it's not that. It's I hate him. It's the fact that he puts out these posts that are tone deaf. They're just lies. What he does is he's attributing motives to actions that they've taken. So I don't know. Let's say they spend, I don't know. Let's say schools need repairing, and they spend 20 million on repairing schools tomorrow. They won't look at it as repairing those schools. They would look at it as, oh, we've decided to upgrade schools. See what I'm saying? The dual language. But no, it's worse. They are just going on there and saying batshit crazy stuff every day. We're up in the standard of children in this country by 450,000 children raised out of poverty in 1 year, or something crazy like that. And then the Labour Party itself coming on, and what was it they said? I can't remember now, but making ludicrous statements about the good that's been done, and literally they are tallying up this stuff, regardless of the pushback, which is huge. The pushback on these posts is huge. It amazes me. Any other politician would feel embarrassed. They probably wouldn't post as often, and they'd be a lot more careful about those posts. But no, not him. He plows through it like it's snow, and he just doubles down. And him and the Labour Party just make these, they're almost inflammatory posts, because it's like, regardless of all the suffering and everything else that's going on in this country, it's like they're saying F you. And they'll go on about something like, I don't know, we're committed to going carbon free on the on the week of someone getting stabbed, for instance. It's the sort of thing that they are doing all the time. Every day, nearly, he is making a post on X saying some other it is a bit North Korean. He's driving that narrative home regardless of what you think. And I think he thinks whatever I say here is going in the history books. I'll make sure of it. I don't know how far his mind goes. In this day and age, 2025, I wouldn't believe that anybody would be so stupid as to think that they could grab power. Not like that. But I have no idea what's going through this man's mind, because he's one of the most dangerous kind of tyrants you can have, and that is, he's a weak man. In public, down the pub, he's a weak man. He's a weak man who never really was meant to have power. He's a school headmaster at best. He's a very weak man, and when a weak man gets power, it's like what we were talking about the other day with Captain about when you put a badge on people. Same sort of thing. When a weak man like him gets power, that's when real tyrants are born, and that's what worries me about Keir Starmer. And you already see it with the delaying of the elections and stuff. So Southampton Times reports that the Highfield Hotel, the place where they've been, Southampton, where the hotel where they've been protesting now for, I don't know if it's about 24, 25 weeks. The Highfield Hotel manager goes out to thank charity NGO housing worker for organising a counter protest. Bear in mind who goes to those counter protests against concerned local residents in Southampton, asking, is there anything else we can be doing to support you? Bear in mind, some of these people are weaponized. A lot of them are Antifa. In Southampton, for those of you that don't know even the geography where this is happening, they usually place these hotels in very strategic places. But also, it's not just a university town, it's a twin university town. There's 2 universities in Southampton, and it's not that big a city. So you've got twin universities. So for us to go and demonstrate there, for instance, many of us have to travel quite a way and take time out of our day and go there. The students get paid to do it, and all they have to do is jump out of their bed and just walk across the road half the time, and they are protesting. And they obviously keep in touch with each other, and both universities stay in touch, and they are highly organised. So that's what these people are fighting against. So these people are already highly funded and organised to go just create trouble and to protest anything that resembles somebody standing up for themselves, or counter protest, I should say. Yeah, they get offered the support. Incredible. And the thing is that these people run these hotels, it's not because they are all worried about, right and wrong and just having, stopping any chance of violence. It's because, and I've caught them doing it myself on my own videos. It's because, look at Welcome to Southampton. It's because I've said to them, that golden check must be really worth it. And I knew when I said it to that woman in Welcome to Southampton, reason I said it to her, I didn't carry that point on. I didn't try and be confrontational with her, but I just said, it's a golden ticket. And she said she couldn't comment on that. And I said, well, I've got no such scruples, because of the fact that I know that they pay them as though every room is full for a summer season. So summer season prices. So they really do get top whack for those people being there. I know exactly why they want to help the people that are defending these people. It's got nothing to do with right or wrong. It's got everything to do with the fact that they actually make money. It's not just a case, they're not reimbursed. These hotels are not reimbursed. These hotels make more money than they would make from clientele. That's why they do this. So what do you think about this? This comes from a heavily biased source. That's all I'm going to say for now. Ask me afterwards where the source comes from. It's still a source that could be trusted, but heavily biased. So, oh no, hang on. I may have got that wrong. Oh, it may not. No, sorry. I take that back. I thought it was, okay, I'll level with you. I thought it was from Elon Musk's source, but it's not. It's actually from a place called Daily Romania, quite a big place. And it says, at least 400,000 children, women and men have been killed or raped by non-European migrants and refugees since 2010. It is a genocide of ethnic Europeans sponsored by the EU and those who support it. And I don't want to... It does mention at the bottom that it's very conservative. I wondered on your direct response to those numbers and response to that, because I don't want to preload anything to anyone's heads. I want to see the reaction before I give my own. What I will say is, because it's glaringly obvious, is we know that up to there was, I think the estimates were 250,000 to 500,000, with up to 1 million women and girls collectively in this country, in the UK, had been affected by child exploitation and grooming gangs and everything else. This was compiled by the government. And when it was presented in the House of Commons, I forget what the minister that brought it up was. He said it was 250,000, guaranteed, and up to 1 million that they couldn't actually 100% verify, or hadn't been processed yet, or whatever. But could be up to 1 million. That's just in this country alone. So it does seem that that's a very small number compared to what's already been looked at in our own country. And lastly, well, I say lastly, maybe second from last, but there's been many of us have been having problems with X recently. A place where, like, where I go on Getter, when I go on Getter, if I go do a stream like I did the other day, I had about 16 to 1800 views for that stream. It's, you know, on X, it used to be the same. If you did a stream half decent, people would give it a chance, they would come and watch. And just recently, many of us have noticed there seems to be a bit of an issue on there. Anyway, Danny Roscoe made a post that may bring things into a bit of alignment. He said, "This is why our posts are slaughtered in views. The EU just fined X 120 million under the Digital Services Act, and that's no accident. They're cracking down on deceptive design, a murky ad repository, and limiting researcher access to public data. Talk all you want about free speech. This is regulation by bureaucracy. UK already feels the fallout. Shadow bans reduce reach, algorithmic throttling." Now, X's AI has already told me that it throttles certain things anyway. Like if you post your YouTube video on there, it's told me that it buries the link. It does it actually it goes out of its way to make sure people don't see it because it wants you to put videos on there. It has told me that if you don't pay for it, it does work against you rather than just be neutral. And that also all AIs have told me that the reason that they are losing abilities almost weekly is because of legality and liability. It seems that there's more and more accumulating, and as a result, half the tech we rely on is just becoming unusable. And free speech, even in AI, is being cracked down on. I think that's probably the right term. Which means how long am I going to get these views on Getter for? How hard might it be to grow a YouTube channel up these days? It used to be relatively easy if you were prepared to put in the work. Hopefully it still is. But sorry, I'm laughing because, and this is a great way to finish. I'm sorry that this is a great way to finish. Can I show you this picture? Yeah, I can. Hang on. So, got all these little chicks, right? Sorry, I normally do this, but not today. All these little chicks, right? All these cute little chicks. And so this person, right, is asking for it, by the way. They're just antagonizing all the time, always making posts like this. And it says, less than 2 months, these chickens will be slaughtered, processed, and shipped to your local grocery store. What a sad reality these animals face. And my mate, Vindicator, who was on the other day, he just can't help himself. He's done this a few times to these people because they just keep asking for it. He said, "Awesome chicken nuggets." It's just they asked for it. They asked for it. Do you know what I mean? Even people who are sympathetic to the way they go about it, they're just trying to guilt trip people all the time. It's like if you try and guilt trip people, they're just going to go the opposite way. So yeah, good on him. Elon Musk, I have to say, I feel more and more is slipping into the realm of raving nutter. And I've seen some of his opinions on AI, by the way, and I believe that either he's lying or that he's nowhere near as smart as people think he is. Well, and what I mean by that is he's obviously a very smart man, but he's admitted himself is one of the things that he's smart at is he hires the best, smartest people to, and the best, smartest people to do all these different jobs. People have this idea that he's working 23 hours a day, actually doing all these projects almost single-handedly, which is ridiculous. So, he's hired the best people for the best jobs, and he has kind of whatever input with whatever project that he's most in love with at the time. But he's also said some things about like AI and other things that I've sort of thought, well, that's, I don't know, some very fundamental things that most people who understand computers, for instance, would understand would be completely fatally wrong to assume. And yeah, just stuff that you feel that, oh, maybe there is stuff that's out of his field, perhaps. Anyway, more and more recently, I've been feeling like he's just a raving nutter more than anything else. But so sometimes I don't know how to take his post, but he's done one where he said Elon Musk is now calling for the abolition of the EU. The EU should be abolished and sovereignty returned to individual countries that governments can better represent their people. Now, who Elon Musk is to say that is, I don't know. But I tell you what, how can I argue with that? Those countries' sovereignties were taken away. Many of those countries are a hell of a lot poorer for it. How many countries are better off for being in the EU? What percentage of countries are better off and what percentage of countries are worse off? Yeah, a lot of people like to defend it by talking about monetary numbers, but a lot of those monetary numbers don't fit the reality of the average everyday day of life for people. A lot of people used to tell me, oh yeah, they're earning more now and all the rest of it. It's like, yeah, they're paying more too. It's like, it's a lot of defenses of things that happened, but the reality of it was the standard of living for a lot of people in Europe went down overnight and never truly recovered. So even though he is kind of, if you see the picture of him, you understand why I'm laughing. He's standing with himself in front of an EU flag, so it's just all ego. But he does make some prominent points in as much as if he'd said any other words, but they use the word sovereignty, which means he does understand. It is about sovereignty. And that's what that sovereignty means to the individual person as a right and as a way of getting things done, as a way of stopping mad shit from happening. Something we've lost, you know? So, and our last bit of X madness today, this wasn't all from X today, but our last bit of X madness is there's an offender database reported. It reported that a serial transgender Sussex paedophile and child molester Sally Ann Dixon was jailed in 2023 for a minimum of 12 years and was sent to a women's prison despite not being legally recognised as female. Starting her transition 18 years ago, Sally Ann Dixon, 58, committed crimes against 7 children from 1989 to 1996, whilst identifying as a man. In July, Sally Ann Dixon was found guilty on 30 counts of indecent assault or indecency with a minor against 7 victims, the youngest of these 7 years old at the time. Sorry, I hadn't read this yet. Not guilty on 3 more. The jury spent 17.5 hours deliberating before finding her guilty on the charges. Ryan Richter detailed an 8-year campaign of crime directed against 2 boys and 5 girls. Living as a male, John Stephen Dixon in the late 1980s and early 1990s, that Defiant was a blatant and relentless sexual predator, he told the court. So there you go. And I've said it in sports, I've said it in other things, but more and more it's being used as a defense against many things and for better treatment and all kinds of things. And the other thing as well, you're going to be seeing a lot more of this, because don't forget that Starmer has said if you're transsexual or if you're of a certain minority, you will get lighter sentences and you'll get let off early. He said that. It's not he's inferred that. He said that, and he's made that the law. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot more people do this, because you are incentivized now to change your sex and do all these things, because you may find that you'll get possibly years taken off your sentence. So expect more of this. Expect a lot more. Anyway, just covering some basics. Although it's supposed to be my day off, I feel like I haven't really done a in-depth video. But as I said, I'll be checking on some tools tomorrow. There's no point without these tools trying to tell you this particular video, because it needs to paint a few cool pictures and some other stuff to be able to tell you the story I want to tell you. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm Tom Fury. This is Zero News. Calling it a day for now.